We definitely have everyone. In fact, I've never seen so many people here for one of our meetings. So I'll go ahead and we'll call this meeting to order. This is the January 3rd, 2022 meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. Time is 6:30. We have lots of members of the public here. I assume you're here for agenda items, or is someone here for public comment to open the meeting? Public comment? Okay, if you would, come up and one at a time, or are you doing separate? I didn't know if you were together for the same item, no? If you would, just for the record, can you state your name and your address?
Hi, my name is Jeff Hoy. I live at 7 Tomahawk Drive. I have some comments on some of the agenda items tonight. Let's see. Down under old business, the first thing about the picnic table at Sklar property, the boat ramp updates. I was looking at the agenda from the subcommittee meeting, and one of the items at the Sklar subcommittee meeting was to discuss a 10-year property plan. And I would like you to include that in this discussion if possible. It left me wondering if we should expect a comprehensive plan like we have for Greater Woods or Horse Hill. I understand there's to be some significant upgrades to that area, and I think it does deserve some kind of a documented plan forward before implementing a lot of these changes. I'd like that to come up as part of the discussion if possible.
Okay.
And on the next item,
I'm sorry, Mr. Hoy, in which you're looking at a future agenda items or something?
I'm looking at tonight's old business. There's the
Okay.
Sklar picnic table and boat ramp updates.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out what that might entail, so I looked at the subcommittee agenda from December 15th, and it mentioned a 10-year plan. So I'm just looking to fill in the gaps to know if I can expect a comprehensive plan coming forth for that property.
In addition to what were already captured in the meeting minutes, or?
Well, more in terms of how it's, in the past, this commission has developed management plans for the significant properties.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if that has been considered, if that's ongoing. I'm just wondering if that could be part of the updates for that property.
Yeah, I think it certainly can. We haven't discussed it yet tonight. It is on the agenda.
Yeah,
But
it's on the agenda, so I'm
No, I
trying to
think we can
contain it to
certainly
the
do it.
agenda items. Another agenda item for tonight is the storage. I'm assuming that means the shed. And I do have concerns about the responsibility that building a shed, maintaining a shed, filling it with tools, maintaining those tools, it's a perpetual responsibility and a cost that will be borne by future boards. And I just hope that everyone considers that before they enter into any kind of decision. And I would like to see, if the board decides to go forward with that as a action, I would like to see something documented as to who will be in charge of maintaining things, who will be the person keeping track of inventory, who's going to take care of the maintenance schedule. I would just like to hopefully see that documented prior to taking any action on that agenda item.
Yeah, I think that's something we can do. And any reason why we wouldn't include something like that in our plan if we discuss tonight?
So those are just things to go into those two discussions. And just as a parting thought, if there are projects on the properties, this board has a long history of subcontracting the work, whether it be for the beavers or the ecology or the forestry. I mean, a lot of stuff does get hired out. If there's a reasonable, significant piece of work that needs to get done, I believe that this board should consider subbing out some of that work again. So that's my parting thought.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you, and we'll include your comments as part of the minutes. Thank you for coming.
Good evening.
Good evening. If you would just state your name
Yeah.
and address for the record. And Mr. Hoy, you're welcome to stay for the meeting, but you won't hurt our feelings if you don't want to. Either way, just want to say it. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jason Brennan. I live at 23 Aldrich Street in Litchfield, and I happen to be a member of the Litchfield Conservation Commission. And I'm not here for any official business. I'm just here to introduce myself, just to see what you guys have going on. And essentially what prompted me coming here is that a couple of months ago, we were working on what we call our Musterfield property, which is directly across the river from Sklar Park. And we're trying to rejuvenate that property, get rid of a lot of the bittersweet, clean that whole property up. And we had about a dozen volunteers down there cleaning it up. And as we were cleaning it up, we looked across the other side of the river, and you guys were doing the same thing on your side. So I then did a little bit of research, ended up finding a Facebook page, ended up connecting up with Mike, and we started talking about what's going on both sides of the river. And it got me thinking that it might be a good endeavor to maybe get together at some point in time, figure out what properties we have on our side of the river. We have a number of conservation properties on the east side of the Merrimack River. Figure out what you guys have on your side of the river, and just maybe at some point in time, maybe there could be some collaboration there. Like where the Thornton's Ferry site is, for example.
Put a ferry back in?
Yeah, the Thornton's Ferry site, maybe at some point in time, once you finish some of the work that you've done, maybe you've got a historical monument there, maybe we have one similar on the same side, maybe we have a reenactment someday, I don't know. Maybe there's some grant money out there for collaborating projects that span across municipalities.
Anita mentioned that.
Yeah.
Our
And in addition to that, I think it's just from a personal perspective, I think you guys share a pretty big border with us. I mean, even though we got the river in between, Litchfield's 7 miles long, and we've got a 7-mile border pretty much with Merrimack. And I think it's just interesting to see how you guys handle certain things. So Mike told me you guys hit the cap this year. We've hit the cap this year. It's just kind of interesting to see how different folks handle those types of situations. And that's it. So what I'm here for is maybe at some point in time in the future, we could get on the agenda. I can vet this through my commission, and maybe we can come in here, throw the map up on the screen. I think it would be just kind of an interesting opportunity to get to know what properties are on each side of the river.
That's a great idea. This Musterfield Properties, is there a subcommittee for that property too?
No, Litchfield does everything through the Conservation Commission. So Litchfield's only 14 square miles. You guys are like 30-something square miles. We're only about 2 or 3 miles wide. So we get volunteers from the community to support those types of projects. So the Musterfield, what we call the Musterfield, includes the Thornton's Ferry site, and then what is referred to as the old Musterfield from the 1700s. We actually have a Musterfield site that's across the river too, and they're connected together. And all those properties are across from our historic town hall. So you can kind of see from Sklar Park, you can see the old white buildings, and it's pretty much just done by volunteers that are requested as part of the Conservation Commission. We cast the net out to folks in town, and they'll help us out with that type of stuff. We also have a couple of generous businesses in town that help us out with various different projects. In the last 5 years, we put in a river access that sort of lines up, that is south of your Reed's Ferry river access, south of the Sauhegan River. So we have a river access there for canoe and kayaks. And then on the northern part of town, we have what we call our Moores Falls property, which is probably our most popular property. And that lines up with St. Cobain. When you're walking down, you can see those smokestacks up there. And that's one of our most popular pieces of property. And that property actually goes south for about a mile, and I think it ends up lining up close to where your Reed's Ferry is, somewhere in that vicinity somewhere. So it'd be kind of neat just to throw the map on the table and just see, hey, what do you got going on? What do we got going on? Maybe we could collaborate somewhere.
Well,
That's it.
thank you for coming.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions at all?
I just want to make sure I have the spelling of your last name. It's Brennan?
E-N,
E-N.
and a Y in Jason.
We're jealous that you don't have a railroad between your town and the river.
No, we don't, but we have steep banks. That's another thing that like really concerns me. Like our Musterfield property is, if you look across the river, during flooding, that bank is getting undercut, and we've been losing some of our soil. Our erosion has been a problem for us. But we don't have, we got a nice road and we got farm fields. That's really what we're trying to focus on now, is trying to save as many farm fields as we can. All right?
Great. Well, thank you for
Cool.
coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And like I told the gentleman before, you won't hurt our feelings if you're welcome to stay, but.
I'm gonna go get food. Thank you.
There's two questions from the public that were asked to me. From Steve Larson, he asked, when will they be fixing the bridge at Wildcat Fall on the North Loop? I remember we discussed that some time ago.
It's
Is
on
there
our
any-
agenda for January 11th.
All right. And when are they gonna redo the mountain view map at the Outlook at Grady Woods in front of the stone wall near the Amherst line?
Wapak
Yeah,
view?
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, was there anyone else here for public comment, or?
We don't know.
You're looking at me.
No.
Public hearings, we don't have any scheduled. Appointments, we don't have any. That brings us to statutory advisory business. The first item we have is Kerner's Car Care. Who do we have? If you would, before you tell us about the project, you just state your name and.
Can we not have an easel in here?
I'm Jeff Cavan with T.F. Moran's office for a surveying civil engineering firm that's worked on the project. So this is an existing building that's been there for over 30 years. This is 386 to the west of the highway. And basically they're going in for a change of use of the site. Currently, there are two express.
Is your green light on? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh, it is?
Oh, okay. Currently, there are.
Could you just state your name one more
Sure.
time, and can I get the spelling of it, please?
Yeah, Jeff Cavan, Kevan, from T.F. Moran's office. So again, the site's at 386 Daniel Webster Highway. It's an existing building that's been there for over 30 years. You know, it's a long, narrow building. Currently, previously there were two express lube bays and then 4 car wash bays with some equipment room and whatnot. And so what they are going in for is a change of use. The lube bays stay, the car wash bays are gonna become car repair bays. So that's the extent of it. So they have already gone in and plugged and filled the floor drains to comply with Merrimack Fire Department standards. So there are no floor drains that discharge out at all. Again, currently, nothing is being proposed to change on the site, other than we're gonna restripe the site, stripe some parking lot spaces over here, clean these up a little bit, and identify the circulation pattern around the property. In addition to that, there's a stockade fence that comes around these two sides. We're adding some landscaping on the north side of the property. This is the old Pizza Hut site, okay? So we aren't proposing any physical changes other than some paint. Right now, the way the drainage functions, there are 3 leaching catch basins on the property connected with perforated pipe. And this side of the property plus this half of the roof goes into that system. The balance of it goes into the back and sheets basically into this front grass area. And then whatever comes out of it goes into Daniel Webster Highway. Typically for a change of use, we wouldn't go into a lot of detail, but we did in this case. ZBA had asked us to go through full site plan process when they granted the use variance to allow the auto repair here. So they granted a variance in July. So we did analyze this. The 2-year storm appears that it would infiltrate completely. It would not build up at all. When you have a larger storm, like a 25-year storm, some of that might come out and discharge through this grass. But about 80% of that infiltrates out of that. It's not a big property, so it's not huge numbers that we're talking about for flow. So drainage system will continue to function just the way it currently does. Like I said, about the only improvements we're doing is we're adding some landscaping down this side, a couple of trees, and then restriping the parking lot. So I will turn it over to you if you have any questions.
When do you go before the planning board?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it is tomorrow.
Can you talk?
And just, I did, not everyone got a copy of this because it's 51 pages, but Stephanie did send me the stormwater management plan. And there's, like, as you can see, there's very little change here, but the pre and post CFS runoffs were identical in the plan, so they did match up. Who had questions?
Can you talk a little bit about snow storage and removal?
Now, there's a little bit of snow storage, in the front and around the perimeter of this, but anything of excess would have to be hauled off and disposed of off-site. Because there isn't, again, there's a small strip here and some spots around the perimeter. Parking-wise, these parking spaces have us comply. We did count an additional 6 in front of the bays, figuring they would pull a vehicle up while something was being worked on. So there's 6 extra parking spaces, but there isn't a lot of excess space on site to stockpile snow.
You're gonna give us the standard plan adjustments for shrubbery and snow?
You want to make sure that you have Green Snow Pro, snow removal, and ice de-icer.
Say that again?
Green Snow Pro, snow removal, and, I'm assuming
Oh.
that whatever they had for the car wash, they're gonna continue to have for Kerners. No? Is anything gonna change?
The ownership and management of it.
All right,
So, yeah.
okay, so we wanna make sure that when you take snow out and when
Yep.
you're de-icing, that you're using a Green Snow Pro de-icer,
Yep,
certified de-icer.
yep,
We wanna make sure that you're planting only non-invasive species.
yes.
Okay, if you have anything that needs hay bales, we want to make sure you're using straw, not hay.
In this case, we won't need to do
It doesn't
that.
look
Like I
like
said,
it.
we're planting some plants down here and a couple of
Okay.
trees, but that's,
Okay, so you want to just make sure that they're non-invasive
they're
species.
non-invasive, yep.
Mhm,
And our landscape architect does that automatic,
right.
yeah.
Anything
Anyone?
else?
No, that's it.
Anything else? No? Okay, well, thank you for coming. We'll make sure we get an email off to the planning board tomorrow
Okay.
morning.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. That was the only item we had for statutory advisory business. Takes us to number 6, new business. The first item on the agenda under new business was a request by resident Jason Conquest to hunt on open land behind the Riverside Park subdivision. Parcel is 4B035 on Riverside Drive. This-
Hello, my name is Jason Conquest, 41 Peter Road, Merrimack. I was found that parcel that was owned by the town of Merrimack, so I walked the property, saw it was conservation land, had looked at New Hampshire website for conservation land, allowed hunting. There's signs posted, no motorized vehicles. And so after I did that, then I called town of Merrimack to see if it was allowed for hunting. And it wasn't really a clear yes or no, or so I just wanted to. I did actually find someplace later that there was another page or something I didn't see the first time, but I was just curious. I mean, due to the fishing game rules, laws, you know, you got to be 300 feet away from a house. There's plenty of room down there. I personally hunt with a bow, so there's no noise. I didn't know if maybe, because on some of the properties I noticed they no hunting, and they list exclusively bow hunting. So I didn't know if maybe there could be a change to allow only bow hunting in an area like that, just to kind of open up some of the land, because it's quite not really overgrown. Doesn't look like any kind of activity been done in that area for a long time. So there's, you know, it'd just be nice to be able to get, you know, not just me, other people,
Right.
or.
I can take a stab at this, and if I miss something, the reason it may have been confusing was we're going. It's Chapter 111 that governs the use of these conservation properties. We are undergoing. Well, we're in several years deep into the process of revising some of those rules. There used to be completely passive properties, which I think the spirit and the intent of the way the current Chapter 111 was written was to prevent target shooting, but the way that it prohibited the discharge of firearms, any firearms. So through this process
Kind of
of
what I was
updating-
thinking. That's why I wanted to,
Yep.
you know, ask or talk to people. Or
What we've tried to do, and we weren't unanimous on this, but what we as a commission decided to do was kind of clarify that restriction to prohibit target practice. Or any discharge of a firearm or any weapon in the act of target practicing, but not prevent firearms or bow use if it was for lawful hunting during lawful hunting season, following fish and game rules and so forth. There are some properties in town where there is no hunting, and a lot of those were tied to deed restrictions or areas where it just didn't make sense, like the area immediately adjacent to the middle school.
right. Which makes sense. And as I said, this area is a river on one side that drops like 100 feet from the road to where like the floodplain is. And by the time you move the 300 feet away from it, I mean, there's like 25 acres down there or something like that. So, I mean, it's more than sufficient room.
There is, and I guess where we're currently at in this process it's a defined process. We've agreed on what we want the current or the future Chapter 111 revision to look like. We've presented that to the town council, and you can look at those minutes and see a pretty detailed description of that presentation. And the presentation's attached. That was it the last May or June's town council meeting? Either one of those. May 27th. We presented what we believe. We got some buy-in from the town council. They were pretty happy with the plan. So now it's with the town attorney. From there, once the legal language, once we're all satisfied with the way the proposed Chapter 111 is written, then it'll go back to the town council, and we hope and we believe that they'll approve it the way we've presented it. So we're kind of in between Chapter 111s.
Okay.
Did I leave anything out that someone might want to add?
Well,
So-
I don't believe this property was added. Hasn't it been in Chapter 111 for a while? Because it's surrounded by a neighborhood. I mean, I just did some quick lookup. If you include this Riverside, you've got Wasserman, 88 acres, Gilmore Hill, 25 acres, and Wildcat is 80 acres. That's like 220 acres that are limited for hunting. Horse Hill is 563 acres, Fields Farm is almost 100 acres, and Greater Woods is over 500 acres. So there's actually plenty of other land.
Right, and
You know.
but the reason I was looking for other places because I'm not sure if it happened to be it just coincidence that with the COVID, more people were out in the woods, and essentially, Horse Hill is like, as the parking lot has grown immensely in the past few years, and it's always packed. So there's just a lot of people out there, and so I was just looking for places that weren't a lot of people. And so, I mean, because being a bow hunter, I don't need a lot of area, and it's early in the season anyway. Well, I pretty much all season just used my bow anyways, but it was just, I saw it, I found it, and I walked it, and it was just, I just wanted, we have all these other properties, but they're just busy.
Yeah. This is a parcel, I believe this is parcel already in chapter 111.
Yeah.
So therefore, to me, it's already under town law. I don't think we can approve or disapprove any activity on it, because it's already under jurisdiction.
Governed under the current.
We can make a recommendation to town council, but I don't believe that we can change, because even if we give permission, chapter 111 is active, so the police can go and enforce these rules. And that's the only reason that we went after 111 to begin with, so the police have some teeth to be able to do something if there's a problem. So, right now, that property is under, no discharge of firearm, no spring-loaded weapons, no bows, no nothing. So if we want to make a change to it, the only thing we can do is make a recommendation to town council. Now, unfortunately, I think you'd have to go up in front of town council and get them to give you a waiver or change the 111 for this instance.
And probably notify every single person in that neighborhood, because if you're used to walking there
That would-
free and clear,
That would be,
and then
yeah.
arrow goes by your head.
Yeah, that's the only activity that's down there is the high school is going to the river. So,
Do we know if this property is one of the ones that is revised in the update of chapter 111? Or will this be under the same rules?
Same rules.
Same rules?
Yeah.
This one,
Okay. So even after the revision goes through, then it would still be illegal to hunt on this property?
Okay.
Based on the current chapter
Right,
111
right. We have-
and the proposed revised chapter 111?
yeah, so again, we'd have to,
Let's-
and once that's active, then town council's the only one that can give any kind of a date to it.
And no, which is fine.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
saw it, there was no signs that said it,
No,
and I was that,
no,
I just,
know, I appreciate it.
I had looked on, I didn't want to step on people's toes,
Right.
so I was just, there was another spot I was checking out, and there's a lot of bicycle trails, people putting in bicycle trails. I go down there, there's flags everywhere, so I was like, I didn't know what was going on. So my camera's out there, and then you see the guys out there carrying other flags with their grub hose and making bicycle trails. So every time there were so many trails becoming out there that if there was a tree to put a
Is
tree.
this out here?
No, that was the Manson property, I think it's called.
Demasian?
Or yeah.
Demasian property?
I think it's called the Field or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fields
Why-
Farm.
Field, yeah, I
It
think that.
shouldn't be actively.
Yeah, nobody should be
No, it
doing
should be
that.
going actively. Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have on my game camera to see.
Subcommittee.
Um,
I've
at least-
heard other things about that property, about trails being put in that property.
Fields Farm?
Yeah?
There's lots of trails out there.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
And you can see, like I said, they're out there with grub hose and making, and at first I was like, okay, it's town property, it's for everybody to use, but it doesn't sound like they're part of any organized group putting trails out there.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, because there are little orange marker flags, so at first I thought, well, someone's doing something. And then after my cameras, I actually seen several people walking back and forth with grub hose and equipment and carrying the flags. I'm like, oh, so those are the guys
All right.
with the flags, and so,
So we need to get that subcommittee up and running.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we'll have to look into that.
because I know I belong to Horseshoe Fish and Game, and we own property, and someone took it upon themselves to put bike trails out there, and it's a constant battle for us to keep them out,
Yeah.
even though we have giant orange no trespassing signs, active shooting range, and they still are out there.
Yeah, that
I'm-
would be enough to turn me back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not right where the trails are, it's on the other side of the power lines, but it's still,
Yeah.
and we had it logged
Yep.
and went out there and reposted all the signs So, I mean, there's almost no excuse that you couldn't see a sign. And they're still, and they're like moving stone walls.
Oh, we can definitely relate, because we
Yeah.
have the same issues with people taking
So,
our signs
okay, well, I
down
just-
and shooting them.
So, you know, some people think hunters are bad, but they're a pretty high part of the conservationists also. So to see people going out there, making
Is
trails.
this something you'd like to pursue with town council, or?
Not really.
Okay.
Depending on the meeting went, but you know, like I said, there are other properties.
Yep.
I just, when I first called, I didn't see the other, for some reason my computer shut this little thing off the corner and or went someplace and I didn't see it because it wasn't even listed anywhere that I found. And then I did actually find it. I talked to somebody else and
Okay.
they said it is there someplace. And so I looked and I did actually find it. But since I missed the meeting, because I kind of was working, so since I made another, I didn't want to just not come,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
wanted to.
I appreciate your observations about what you have seen, because right now you're our eyes.
Yeah, that's far, yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, well, thank you.
Well, thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you coming. All right, the next item for new business was a request by Holly Hogue to place trail cameras at Wildcat Falls Conservation Area. She is not here tonight. Did you speak with her?
I did speak with, I talked to her on email, and essentially she is a counselor at, or she was a counselor at like a nature type camp. So she just is looking, she just has a love of wildlife. So she,
And I'm
we
pretty
talked about, limits, we talked about we're not responsible for stolen equipment. We talked about, just, I would have to talk to her about no sound. I asked the subcommittee members, they didn't have a problem with that.
And I think the UNH graduate student still has
Still has
trail
cameras out,
out there.
yeah.
I don't think there's no expectation you're not gonna be videoed if you're in the public.
Right, Gage
I guess
pointed
the
out.
question is, do we need to, does something need to be posted at the kiosk or
Right.
to convey that expectation, or is that just?
No.
I don't believe so.
No.
Well, and who knows how many are out there? I mean, he just said he has some out in our property, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
there's probably a
but
lot
so
out there.
We put
you
them
know.
out on the property without advertising it. I mean, it's not up there all the time, but there's,
Mhm.
if we have parcels that we have issues with, or
Mhm.
that we just want some good pictures.
Is there any reason we wouldn't tell Holly to
Just the sound.
knock
issue.
herself
Yeah,
out?
yeah, no sound, and,
Yeah.
I respect people's private property. Obviously, you
Mhm.
wanna point the cameras inward, not
Mhm.
into someone's backyard or something like that. I mean, you wanna say common sense, but sometimes that doesn't prevail.
Why no sound? Is it a
Oh,
legal wiretap?
it's a legal issue. Yeah, it's legal. You can't record sound.
Okay.
You can record video and audio, video and stills, but you can't record audio.
Okay. I get them
But,
up in my camp, so it's just.
Yeah, but that's in public areas.
Okay.
And in your own personal, private, that's,
Doesn't matter.
yeah,
Okay, cool,
that
thank you.
would be,
Okay, so no one has a problem with that?
Oh,
Okay, good, I will get in touch with
we'd
her.
love,
and-
we'd love pictures.
love
If
to
she
see
gets any good ones,
pictures.
we'd love some.
You know, I'll have to ask our graduate student too. We haven't gotten any pictures from him.
You get some really great ones and you put them low, you get some real good face shots.
Yeah.
There was a woman that shared pictures of Greater Woods, a couple of years ago, and it had a bobcat, moose, bear, coyote,
Yeah.
deer. Yeah.
All right, moving on, takes us to old business. The first item we have under old business is Scholar picnic tables and boat ramp updates.
All right, my favorite topic. So the Scholar Committee met the 15th of December. We decided to hold off on the benches, which we previously voted for. Tom Martinson is his name, right?
Yes, what about?
Yeah, he express interest in possibly doing the benches. Because the benches were like $380 a piece was the quote, and that's a bit much for a bench, in my opinion.
Do we have
But-
any scouts looking for projects again? Anyone reached out?
Mike took over scouts.
They haven't answered me. I've sent them a message last week, actually. So, we voted on picnic tables, 5 of them. So that is what we are requesting. The last quote I got was, I believe, $270 for 8-foot tables. So that's what we're requesting. If I was seated, I'd make a motion, but I'm not.
So I'd like to speak.
Mhm.
Yep.
Please.
So I support the picnic tables. I voted for them. I just don't want to see it happen too soon. I'd like to suggest that we, the Conservation Commission, hold a meeting at Scalar sometime in the early spring. And so our wishes, and we can see what's going on, and we can have, you know, what we think should happen there is happening there also. I just don't want to, you know, put the cart before the horse. I want to see these things happen, but I want to see the plan, you know, I want to see everything in place happening first, and then, you know, then the picnic tables and things like that.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but
I
I think
wouldn't
I think we should schedule a meeting down, you know, all of us on a
this-
weekend and have it be public.
Yeah, and this kind of dovetails in with that. I did do some, it was on my takeaway action list for, from a previous meeting. I did make contact with our Hillsborough County Commissioner, Fish and Game Commissioner, Ray Green. I talked to him about us wanting to do a meeting down there in March, probably to look at the boat ramp and get their feedback. It's something they've looked at before. He said he would definitely make himself available for that, and he said he put me in touch with Scott Mason, who's the executive director at Fish and Game too, because there is a whole program. I don't know if you guys have probably seen this, the statewide Fish and Game statewide public boat access program. It's all on the website. I didn't make copies of it for everybody, but you know, that's I think what brought them down there last time. I think Cindy facilitated that last time. Anyway, they did say they were open to coming down there. I looked at a couple dates. I don't know if maybe that's something we wanted to try to do, like Tuesday, March 29th, when it gets warmer.
What time?
It would be during the day, I think. I think we would treat it as a meeting. We don't have a meeting that week. We have one the first week of March, and we have one.
We might want to schedule a couple alternates, because there's no
Yeah.
use going down there before ice out.
What's that?
We
There's
don't
no
want-
use going down there before ice out. You'd want to be able to see the shoreline, you'd want to be able to
Yes.
see,
Yeah.
Well,
you know, and we probably don't want to be down there in the middle of mud season, because you're still going to have some issues
Tough to get.
navigating.
well, I just drove all the way to the ramp. It's pretty solid right now.
Yeah,
And then-
it's
Right,
it's an
but-
unknown. We
Yeah,
don't know.
it may be fine by March,
Yeah.
it may be perfect, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe something in April too,
We
a
just
couple
want to make
dates.
sure we have, hey, if this date doesn't work, we
It's a good
have
idea.
something, because we're gonna be wanting down there without
Mhm.
ice and be able to see the terrain.
Yeah, and it
You know?
may be challenging for some of us to get down there if we're talking about doing something during the work week. But if we plan it out far enough, maybe,
Yeah.
certainly enough of us could be there to have a quorum down there.
Yep.
It seems like that's the right step. I mean, I think it's always great when we talk about spending money, and we have money to spend. But it's great when we can leverage that money, and there's really a couple ways to do it. One of those ways is to pair a project, especially a significant one, with a grant or something that would provide those matching funds where, you know, and there are a lot of those types of opportunities out there. I guess the other way you can really leverage Fund 53 funds is, you know, do something like we did with NEMBA and Matt Karen, where we buy the supplies and then we leverage them because they provide the hands, the volunteers to do that, like we did recently with the stick bridge. That came out
We had-
fantastic, and we didn't spend a lot of money on it.
We had a conversation with Kyle Fox, the town engineer, regarding a secondary relocation for a boat ramp. Anyone remember where we ended up
That's
with
at the
that?
treatment plant, right?
It was further down, yeah.
But I don't think that's happening,
Well,
right?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Because
I don't
it's,
think-
the town has, the town has a want to have the boat ramp. So if we can find another location or fix that location, I don't think there's gonna be, I think we'd get some support from the town doing that also. So you're talking about leveraging, I'm saying, that we're not the only ones that looking for that to be done.
Right.
And we had a grant a long time ago to put a ramp in. And I'm trying to remember who, was it LaRue?
I think so.
Was it LaRue that had that money? Who was it? Someone
He
came and
knew-
talked
he
to us
knew
about that.
it. He knew about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know, I think that might be gone, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's probably gone, but I'm saying, it's like, there's probably plans and, you know, I can't imagine someone would give us a
So-
grant without having some plans written up and drawn up. So
I
there might
did-
already be some planning structure done for this.
I did have a conversation with the Fish and Game, the person who's in charge of boat ramp grants and stuff like that, and I think I mentioned this before, but he indicated they were not interested in that site because Merrimack being a big river, you could not get big boat access to that location.
No, you can't.
Yeah, but you can't put a big boat out there anyways because of the draft in the summertime.
Yeah.
Think of it, that place is built for canoes, kayaks, and
Yeah.
small engine boats, which they bring down there every day, whether it's for fishing or hunting. Big boats, what do you call those? Pontoon boats, never gonna fit out there.
Yeah.
And you never see them out there. You may see one big boat come from Nashua, but there's a hard time getting by the islands.
Yep.
Especially in the shallow water. So that area there is not deep draft. It's shallow. It's 10 feet in good water. So when it gets shallow, you're talking 2-3 feet. And sometimes you can almost walk across.
Yeah. I mean, look how far out we got that one day. We were down there.
Right.
Yeah.
We were 15, 20 feet out into the river looking back at the property.
Right, right.
So,
So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I can talk
yep.
about the boat and the drafts and all that stuff out there. You know, because that's the area. You go upriver from there, you're getting all rocks and boulders, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have a hard time with the
You
draft.
can't boat until you get above exit 9.
Correct?
Yeah.
So that's just my thought.
Now, I agree with the boat ramp. Obviously, it's gonna be a lot of money and we need a grant of some sorts. But for picnic tables, first, they're backed up. And second, I'm not expecting them before April. These will be simple picnic tables. They're meant to show that they're not gonna be destroyed or thrown in the river. That's why we're not going for anything stone or something like that. So I would like us to consider it fairly soon, so we're not getting them next fall, which,
So what's your purpose for picnic tables? What's your vision for that?
to
People
sit
go
down
down
and enjoy the
there,
river.
sit at the picnic tables. What are they doing at the picnic tables?
Just enjoying the river instead of idling in their car and watching it from there.
I get on the river a lot. And my wife and I go down on Friday night and have a little picnic dinner, things like that.
And you take
So we
your-
usually end
you
up sitting
take
on the
your trash
tailgate,
home.
or bringing a couple chairs with us and things like that.
And you take your trash home because you
Of course.
understand that it's a carry in, carry out, but,
Well, I take my trash anyways.
yeah.
That's what
But
decent
do
people
other
do.
people, what happened at Watson Park?
You were there.
Well, I know, I down there, I pick up trash every day down there.
Mhm.
So I'm very familiar with the trash cycle down there.
I'm concerned if we put 5 picnic tables down there, we're gonna end up with another Watson Park scenario.
Yeah? Yeah. But the picnic tables won't be condensed into one area, they'll be spread out. One will be up in a area overview, a few of them will be down in the green area that they wanna build here, then maybe a couple down at the boat launch, maybe down at the boat launch.
So
A
why do-
person brought up concern of safety.
Why do we need 5 to start? Why don't we start with 1 or 2, see how people treat those, and then we take it from there?
Whatever you feel is appropriate.
So, I guess that's my concern is, I mean, what is the plan for Sklar? We had public comment that said, hey, before you guys spend a bunch of money down there, you know, maybe we should ask for a plan. I don't know that I disagree with that. I was at the town hall today and someone asked me, well, what's the plan? I don't know what the plan is. And maybe, You know, I've only been the town council rep for, I don't know, 3-4 months, but I think every meeting that I've sat in, I've listened to a request to spend money down at Sklar. I think I was down there today, I went to town hall, so I stopped by there just to put eyes on it. It's probably not a bad property to spend money, but before we start spending money, maybe we should have a plan. What's the first thing the commission wants to do? What's the next thing the commission wants to do? Is it 1 or 2 tables? Is it 5 tables? I don't know the answer to that, but I think if we had a plan and then someone brought up an expense and said, this supports the plan of what the commission wants to do at the park, then I think everybody here at the commission could get on board with that and say, that's a good expenditure. It supports our plan, supports what we want to do. But right now, all I ever hear is, we want to spend money at Sklar, and from meeting to meeting, it's whatever it is comes up during that meeting, and it doesn't support any long-range plan.
It's a great point. I think that's kind of what you're,
Yeah, I think we
Your
should go,
point
we
is
need to
too
go
that we-
down
Well,
there.
it's the same, it's a brand new subcommittee, and that's exactly what we do with the subcommittees. I mean,
It takes time,
Takes, yeah.
and you don't wanna put the cart before the horse. You know, we need to go about this slowly, we need to go about it methodically, you know, we can't, I agree with what kind of ways he's saying, we can't just wanna get this, wanna get that, we're gonna get this, we have to go about it methodically, and we want the Conservation Commission to be there, to know what's going on, and we're responsible for that property. It should be our wishes, and the subcommittee should follow through with that and support that. And we should support therefore,
Well, I
it
mean,
would be a give and take.
I'm assuming the subcommittee's talked about this already, is generating some kind of plan. I mean, is there a plan to go forward here? Is there someone?
We do
starting to
have a
offer?
vision for it. We would like a more professionally done plan, which is kind of what we were aiming for last meeting. But we don't have the ability to write the plan. You know what I mean?
No, I don't, because.
What a professional writer, you know, one of the professionally, how looks good, it's organized. We don't have that ability, so we would need.
I'd rather just have the words. I could care less what it looks
Mhm.
like. I mean, that's nice. We could make pretty pictures of it later, but I'd rather just get the plan down. I don't think we need to worry about professional writers or anything. I mean, we did the one for Horse Hill, we did the one for Greater Woods. I don't think we need to spend a lot of money making a plan. It's just time.
So, where do we begin?
I've seen the Greater Woods one. Where is that? Is that on our website?
It's actually getting redone again right now, so we're in the throes of it again, trying to update it.
I mean, that's a pretty
So
decent
it's-
boilerplate plan that could be.
Yeah, you're certainly welcome
could
to
be-
use it. I mean, I would suggest if you're gonna use it, use the forms of how it's laid out, but, you know, obviously the timber plan and all that is so totally different than Scalar. I mean, there's no really we can't really have a timber plan for Scalar. We're just hoping no more trees fall down over there, so. But there's, the layout of, the sequence of the plan is fine. That's certainly, I can certainly give you that if you want.
Yeah, if you
But
could
it's,
send it to me.
It would take the whole plan. I mean, I'll give you the doc version of the entire plan. If there's any verbiage or anything that's useful, you obviously can take it, but it's
Yep.
not, that's as professionally done as us getting together and doing it.
We have to do more sit-down meetings,
Yeah.
like every other meeting. every
We've
other
had
month.
better luck assigning like a chapter to somebody, so to speak. Like, you know,
Mhm.
someone take on parking. How are you gonna handle parking? Go down there and brainstorm, come up with some plan, and then you can sit down and chew on it and come up with the verbiage, and we can get it together. And then someone's, you know, how do you wanna fix this? How do you wanna address this? We just have, you know, kinda assign different people a section and let them just go at it. And it doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be huge. I mean, Greater Woods got big because we kept adding parcels, so each one had a timber management plan and it had to get
Yeah.
put together, so it became a huge,
So,
pretty big document, but.
Before this plan gets, I mean, we need the input of the Conservation Commission, you know, so I think
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we've done all the plans,
Yeah.
is the subcommittee's got the plan together, it gets presented, because obviously there's one of us on each of the subs anyway, so it doesn't matter, so the plan gets presented here, and then once we approve it, or once we accept it, I should say accept it was the right term, that becomes, the document, the Bible for that parcel. And we can change it anytime. We vote on it, or the subcommittee has a plan they want changed, they bring it up, we vote on it, it's changed.
All right. I will
Certainly.
schedule-
It helps us achieve, like what Andy said, that level of comfort that we're not reluctant to spend, we just want to make sure we're spending it in the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Conservation Commission obviously has funds to spend. We just want to make sure we're good stewards of taxpayers' dollars. And if we got a plan that's laid out for the entire community to see and say, this is what the plan is for Sklar, then I'm on board.
But on the flip side of that too, having a plan, it's saved us money in the long run a number of times. We've been able to hand that to foresters, and they're like, oh, we need to go do a timber walk, and here you go, here's the timber plan. Oh, then come back the next day with a proposal. They're not sending people out in the woods. We've had the scouts come in, both Boys and Girl Scouts come in, and like, oh, we want to do this, and like, okay, here you go. Here's where on the map do you want to do it? I mean, it's been able to save a lot of time and a lot of money for us. On the flip side, once we get it done, that it's made things a lot easier to get work done in those parcels later. So it's a good tool. It's a good shelf-ready tool.
Groups like that 6-person, 11-day
Exactly.
hitch.
Yeah.
We missed the boat on that. I mean, I think a lot of us had an appetite
Yeah.
to bring them in and have them do a piece of work. We just didn't have an à la carte project
Yeah.
ready to go. It may not be too late with something like that. I don't.
Yeah.
Well, if you set up a meeting, I'm very much interested in having a
Mhm.
commission visit. I've been down there myself, but I'd like to be part of a commission visit there. So if we can do that in the spring, that'd be great.
Mhm. I'll pick another date in April. I'll keep this
I'm
March
available on
20th.
weekdays, so.
Okay.
We're gonna be meeting on March 13th, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The subcommittee will be meeting that day, if you want to.
March 13th.
What are
Sorry
you
for that.
thinking of for a date,
Yeah, what date?
Steve?
March 29th is a Tuesday. It's a week we didn't have a meeting.
Okay.
I thought it might be, mud could be a problem.
No, that's all right. But it's the same. As long as we have a couple
Yeah.
dates already picked up, we can.
I know Kyle Fox would want to be a part of it. I wanted to
Yep.
make sure I got Scott Mason and Ray Green from Fish and Game, because they definitely expressed interest in
That might be interesting to bring Jason back and let Jason know we're going to be down there too.
Mhm.
What time are you thinking of?
March 29th, you said?
But what time?
10 a.m.?
Oh, in the morning, on a Tuesday?
Mhm.
Okay.
Wow.
And I understand not all of us can make it. With some planning time, I certainly can find a way to be there. Any other discussion on that? Anyone?
Well, I'll schedule the Sklar subcommittee to meet several times and get this done before that meeting. We'll have that plan ready to review.
They take a while.
We're gonna
Yes,
meet
the plans
until
take
it's
a
done.
while.
And again,
Yeah.
I don't think, nothing's gonna be done by March
Yeah, but
29th.
don't get caught up in perfect.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need to have something we can work from.
Right.
It's no one's expecting a leather-bound document. It's something that we can use as a tool and guide our way.
Mm-hmm.
And downstairs will help out with printing and.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just send me an email if you schedule some more meetings, and I'll add them to our calendar.
All right.
So, we can do those. But I'm sure it is daunting to think of,
Am I supposed to
Yeah.
email you? I've just been
Do you-
emailing Stephanie.
I came into the tail end, I think, of that Greater Woods plan. That took a long time.
Yes.
That took a
Yeah.
long time.
Well, that's because every time we got close to being done, we added another parcel.
Yeah.
And then we had to, that changed where we could park, and that changed the timbers. We got to the point, it's like, okay, stop, this is gonna be, this is gonna be it. We'll just say that's done, and then we'll make additions, so.
well, Stephanie does Stephanie has to know about it, but if you want it on our Merrimack Outdoors calendar, then I'd put it on there, because I don't think they list the subcommittees on the town anymore, right?
No.
Yeah, so then I can just add it to ours.
Right.
So, but,
All right, that takes us to, next item under old business. Item number 2 is Merrimack Conservation Commission storage update. There is an update. We did make some headway last week. Tim Thompson and the town manager were able to find space somewhere in this building. I'm not exactly where it is.
I know.
You know?
Well, I know because I dropped some stuff off today.
Where we were able to consolidate some tools that we've had kicking around. There's a duck box there, there are some maps there, there's some gloves there.
In this building?
Mhm.
Yeah.
How do we get access to it in the weekend?
We pick it up on a Friday.
Okay.
There's a couple of long handle shovel, spade shovel, a flat shovel, there's a rake, a leaf rake, a metal rake, a bow saw,
Where are those?
some pruning shears. It's just stuff that's been lying around, so it's consolidated, it's here.
Do we
Um,
have space to put more duck boxes and things like that?
I brought a duck box too. Is it the duck box you're talking about?
Yeah, is yours not down there?
Well, I brought mine down, but mine is the clean one that we use for the Winter Carnival, which we did not sign up for this year, but as I told Stephanie, if I go under a bus, know that that duck box is for Winter Carnival, so.
Do you
As
think
is-
Gage's duck boxes are dirty? Is that what you're insinuating?
We're sorry, but if
So,
your
yeah,
duck
really.
boxes are not pristine, they are not
Well,
going there.
there's a couple of them that are probably really nice, but
It's probably not a long-term solution, but what it does is it'll let us kind of gauge how much we have to store and how frequently it's used. So this is a starting point. It's here.
What's a duck box? Was kind of curious.
Wood
No,
duck-
if
wood
you,
duck
if you
box.
go out, if you go out and, it's probably the easiest ones to see are out in, Horse Hill, out in the
Okay.
middle of a pond, there's bird houses.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
those are duck boxes.
Oh, okay.
They're wood ducks, and we can only access them obviously in the wintertime.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense,
yeah.
okay.
So we have what, 15, we had 15 of them. We lost a couple of them last year and the trees fell over
Oh.
in the spring,
And the
so.
one in the White Pine
So-
Swamp. we let-
So they're in White Pine Swamp.
Yeah.
But we're down to like 9 or 10 of them, I think, out there in the properties.
Well, you can always
gonna
take
be-
the one that I have and use it for the ducks.
Oh, we got more, it's just a matter of, it's,
Okay.
you know,
Probably 5 in Greater Woods.
yeah, there's 5 and there's 4 or 5 out in.
We found
There's 5 or
five,
so
I
out in-
think.
Yeah, so there's 10 or so,
We looked for 6, but we found 5.
yeah.
Well, my compliments to whoever on the committee helped get this breakthrough with
It's a
the
starting
town
point.
manager to get some space. Thank you.
That would be
Yeah,
Steve.
Do you mind asking me where? Or tell me where?
I don't know.
It's down, so if you go
It's in this
downstairs,
building.
if you go,
Somebody knows it.
if you go downstairs, then Stephanie will let you in through the lock part,
Yeah?
and then you go in, and you know where all our files are? There's
Oh.
like
In the
a
bathroom?
locked room, and there's a bunch of files.
Yeah.
Everything's in there right now.
So it's the men's room?
No,
Please.
Yeah.
the Christmas tree is in the men's room.
Oh.
This
So
is where the other files are.
Okay.
They're different files,
The different men's room,
yes.
okay.
Again,
There's no
probably not,
bathroom in there.
probably not a long-term solution, but it'll let us know what we need. It's a
The
starting
storage
point.
room with a bathroom in it, how's that?
Yeah.
No, but the Christmas tree is in the men's room, you know that, right?
Well, it needs a little air freshener in there.
Do we need to empty the gasoline out of gasoline tools before storing them?
In the building? Yes.
Yeah.
They're not gonna let, you can't put gasoline,
No.
yeah.
Now,
not
is
here.
there a shelf there, or do you just put it on the carpet? I don't want to get it all greasy.
If it's greasy, I would, I don't know.
We
If
don't,
it's
we don't,
greasy,
we
I-
don't own any power tools.
Yeah, we don't.
We need a commission visit to the room.
Yeah.
This isn't to store our personal tools, this is to store the tools.
Well, I'm gonna donate a chainsaw to you guys. I didn't get it on this agenda, but it will be on the next.
So, talking with the town manager, there should be no volunteers using chainsaw on conservation or town property. Based on feedback from the insurance company, if something needs to be sawn with a chainsaw, we should call DPW or contract someone to have that done. No
Wow.
volunteers should be using a chainsaw.
So that,
Thank you for the clarity.
We are included, everybody's a
I mean,
volunteer,
it's
yes.
done all the time.
I'm just telling you, you know, the last meeting really brought it to light when some of the safety issues around chainsaws were brought up during the December 6th meeting.
I appreciate the clarity.
And so Paul reached out to the insurance company, and volunteers should not be using chainsaw on town property.
So every time a tree comes,
Contact-
blocks, we have to get the
Yep.
town out there?
Yep.
Wow, that's gonna be a
Or,
lot.
or we're gonna have to subcontract someone to come in and do that.
Wow.
So who should we contact at DPW? Should we contact Lori or Kyle?
I can get clarification on that. I don't
Thank you.
specifically know, but I'll ask Paul that question.
Okay, because I do have trees down on the North Loop at
Okay.
Wildcat that need to come down, and there's
So-
another tree that needs to come
You're
down
gonna have to tell
too.
your subcommittee that too, because, Paul was just out cutting a tree this weekend. You know? and I'm-
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
What about, like a handsaw?
He specifically mentioned chainsaws.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think handsaws, you're probably fine. But I think, you know, something with the December 6th meeting, someone had a branch dropped on their head or something.
Tree.
I mean, a tree, you know, the town probably dodged a bullet there. We shouldn't be doing that. So, you know, I mean, by doing that, you allow people that are not trained in the use of chainsaws to go out and do that on town property. There's a
I
liability.
agree. I totally agree.
I think
right.
Paul also suggested, we probably need to, maybe another conservation commission, maybe, do we have, maybe Litchfield has one? There should probably be a form, a volunteer form if we have people out doing stuff.
Well, and that volunteer form, you know, what the town doesn't want to get into is anytime someone comes and volunteers, and whether they bring a piece of equipment, you know, on property and something happens to that, the town doesn't want to be responsible to reimburse somebody for their personal expenses. You have no idea what condition that was when it was brought in. I mean, think if someone volunteered the use of a backhoe, what if a transmission went out? And all of a sudden you're looking at a $10,000-$15,000 bill. The town doesn't want to be reliable for something like that. And surely, I'm sure you guys don't want to spend conservation funds on something like that. And so, Paul suggested look at a volunteer form that says, hey, I'm volunteering. I'm not gonna hold the town responsible. If I tear a hole in my glove, I'll go out and buy new gloves. I'm not gonna ask the town for a new pair of gloves, so.
Something I'd gone to Kyle with a while ago, we talked about, this is years ago, and we never got further, is a work order type of system. Because it stops, you know, who do I contact, what do I do, who, you know, if there's something we could, online form or something like that, we could put down contact information, we could put down a map where it is and what needs to be done, and then the way the town has got some way to kind of track how much work we're actually responding and asking for.
I'll surely ask
Yeah.
that question.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the
They don't.
capabilities to
Well,
do that, but.
I know they don't have it, but,
Yeah.
because I've talked to Lori about it and Kyle, but we start and then we drops off.
Yeah. Could be nothing more than Excel track.
Yeah, somehow, someone has to get the DPW to say, I need this done, and what, you know, how do we initiate that process?
Mike, you had something?
Well, some towns have forestry committees. They would handle the forest, the timber harvest on town forests, and they do the trail clearing. That might be something we could look into, and they would all be trained in the safety. So, in Hudson, we were looking at something like that, just for the sake of more volunteers, because we didn't utilize subcommittees. And we actually went ahead and the town trained us on chainsaw use and got us safety equipment. So,
So I guess, shall I ask Stephanie if she could contact all of the subcommittee members and make sure that they all get the same email telling them from this point on not to be using power tools and chainsaws? Does this go for all power tools or just chainsaws?
You just mentioned chainsaws.
All right.
I don't wanna add to what
No,
you said.
I mean, you have to be able to use a drill for a sign. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
He only
chainsaws.
Break your
specifically said
wrist.
chainsaws.
All right. Should I ask Stephanie to send something to all subcommittee members so everything is consistent, or?
Do we need that, or can the ex officios carry this message?
I can carry the message, I'm just not sure if we want it
One
consistent.
uniform email would be
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
What do you want?
One email out to all of them, that would be great, you know, I mean.
That-
I
that-
think
Let
so.
them handle it?
That does kind of change how we've been approaching this, because we've never been told that before. We've been saying,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been, as long as you're being responsible, it's your,
With those bike trails,
Yeah.
oh my God,
Oh, yeah.
you can't fall without crossing the bike trail.
I
yeah.
think
Oh, I know,
the,
so this is
I think the
something new.
December meeting
Yeah.
changed the landscape of things.
Okay,
Mhm.
And some folks had some serious safety concerns with what
Okay.
they heard out of that meeting.
okay.
DPW is gonna go broke cutting our trees.
They'll be doing their job.
All right, anything else on shed? Storage?
So we have to go through the records office to get to it?
The easiest
You have
way,
to
if you
check
know
in-
you need something, just email Stephanie to, when
Also,
can I come pick something up?
also the person that spoke mentioned we should have some sort of accountability, a clipboard or something. The list of tools, who checks them out,
Mm-hmm.
their condition when they're checked out.
I can make something like that up. There's not a lot in there, but it'll let us determine if it's enough or too much.
Well, I'm more interested in just storage,
Mm-hmm.
you know? I got pretty much everything in a 8x8 shed right now, along with my bicycle and a bunch of potting tools, so it's not like a lot of space, but there's all the signs, all the tags for the trees, the duck boxes, all that stuff is, you know,
Do you have any more red tags? Just,
I'd have to go look, Mike. I tried to give you a big
I know.
bevy of everything. How'd you go through all that stuff already? Come on.
oh, there were trails that didn't have any markers on them. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'll go back and look. We gotta get all the mouse poop out of them.
Andy, just to clarify, because when Stephanie does send the email out, it's per the town council or per the town manager?
Town manager.
The town manager, okay. Got it.
Thank you for getting that cleared up.
Makes things easier.
Anything else? Warrant article update. Mike, you had asked for this to be on the agenda.
Yes. So what are we gonna do about the warrant article? Or whatever we're doing with the money we're,
Oh,
leaking, which is about,
over the max, you mean?
we're losing at least 35,000 a month right now.
We're not losing, it goes back to the
We are losing.
We haven't spent what we have.
We are losing
Yeah,
it.
but we haven't spent what we have.
That's what I said, we are
So it's
losing.
going back to the town's general fund, and the town can use it.
But we are losing it.
But
We.
why
That's
do
what
we
I'm
need
saying.
to spend money that we don't need to spend just for the sake of spending? Let the town use it.
There's plenty of things we could be doing with that money. Treating invasives, for
Where is
example.
this $35,000 a month anyway?
Because developers, like they do in Litchfield, oh, you laughed. I
Jason.
did. Like they do in Litchfield, developers make payments on what they owe. So they're not just giving a lump sum. So we're getting payments every month on that.
A lot of it's Chestnut Hill right now, I noticed.
So
I think-
we're
I
losing.
think there is a misconception about how those funds are paid, though. They're paid only when it's taken out of general use. Now, you could phase something like that, like what was done with the outlets, it was phased. But most and the outlets is done. There's no more money that would come from the outlets, from the land use change collection. And really, to subdivide, you would have to subdivide a property, right? To take it out in phases. And each one of those subdivisions has to be a minimum of 10 acres. So I think there's a misconception about how much of this is actually going on now.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? I
Yeah,
mean, you know
because
better
we-
than I do.
Yeah, we,
Or you, Mike?
Paul gave us a list, a couple years ago.
Gina dusted that list off.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, so we have a list from, this is September 17th, 2015.
Could we get that updated?
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, this was all the,
Is that a list of properties in current use?
I think so.
this was the current unreserved balance of the 3,000 acres of current use attachment in A. Yeah. So this is there's 3,000 acres of land in current use. This is 2015. So these are all. That's this is 1.2 million. If all these went from current use into developable property.
It's
not a lot, but-
10% of the, I think, the developer pays 10% of the assessed value at the time that they take it out of current use.
Right.
It isn't a monthly payment. They take it out of current use, they pay that 10%. Currently, the way it's set up right now, 50% goes to the Conservation Commission, 50% goes back to the taxpayers to pay down the property tax rate. Right now, the Conservation Commission is at its cap of 1 million. So right now, 100% of that, if anybody takes it out of current use, 100% of it goes back to pay down the property tax rate for the residents of Merrimack. None of it's wasted, none of it's lost. It goes, every dollar of revenue that comes into the town of Merrimack belongs to the taxpayers. This just goes right back to the taxpayers.
So how do we get rid of that cap? Do we have to go to town council, or is there a warrant article?
It's a warrant
It's
article.
a warrant article. Because that's how the values got put in place. So the only way to get rid of it or change it would be to go back and change the warrant article.
Now, eventually, we're gonna run out of money. We don't have a lot in current use anymore. So that cap should be removed, so that it can accumulate at least. And like many other towns, they changed their rate from 50 to 100, and we should do that as well. Hudson
Do you-
did that.
Do you have this email still?
Mhm.
I was trying,
Did-
I was digging for it, but,
You can have that.
no, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And in conservative Hudson, it passed overwhelmingly at the ballot. So,
I think I would repeat Gina's question is why? You know, I mean, as a counselor, if you came to the council and said, hey, you know, we want you to support this warrant article, and there's this piece of property, and this is why we would like to purchase this piece of property, and we think, you know, in 5 years we'll be able to afford that if we lift this cap, or whatever the reason being, if somebody came to the council and had a reason for doing it, you know, you would probably get my support. I can't speak for the council, but I can speak for me. But to say, well, we just want it, and we don't want to give it back to the taxpayers, we just want it, you're not going to get my support. But if you came with a reason and said, here's a piece of property that we think would be great, or here's a plan of what we want to use these funds for, then assuming it was a responsible use of taxpayers' funds, I would probably support that. But I'm not gonna, me personally, I wouldn't support I don't want to give it back to the taxpayers, so therefore I want to put a warrant article in. I wouldn't support that, but I'm just one person, so.
Yeah, I'm not yet persuaded about the 35,000 a month we're losing, although I'd love to see the numbers. But hey, if it goes to the town, it goes to the Public Works Department that we are gonna count on to do things. We're all in it together.
So I don't know where the $35,000 a month came from. I think in the current
I
budget
understand there is
that
a
we're
cap.
looking at this year, the 50% that is not going to the Conservation Commission is only budgeted at $150,000 for the entire year. So that would be somewhere south of 15,000 a month, so. So I don't know where the 35,000 a month comes from.
I mean, I think there are properties that if they came up for sale, we would want, you know, because they'd be part of our plan and ones we want, that
There's-
we wouldn't necessarily want to name, you know?
Well, they're listed in the master plan.
Okay, right.
So,
And
which is-
unfortunately, with things going up,
Yep.
so it would be nice to have, I guess, some of that. I mean, not that if a property came up, you know, if we didn't have funds, we could ask the town to buy it. If it was like connectivity.
Yep.
Because I'm thinking that. But at some point, yeah, the money will run out and we'll probably have to ask like a line item in the town budget for maintenance issues at some point, but yeah, I don't think we have a listing or potential prices right now
No,
for
we've not,
properties.
You don't wait until you're too old to work to save for retirement. And that's what we should be doing. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is it all right if I make a comment?
You're welcome to. Just come up to the microphone, would you? It won't pick you up way over there.
I think it would benefit all of us to hear from the trustees.
Can you just state your name again, please?
Jeff Hoy,
Thank you.
7 Tomahawk Drive. I think it would benefit all of us to hear from the trustees to better understand the nature of that fund and how it develops. I have experience managing endowments. I know that there's interest paid on that pot of money so that we budgeted to spend up to 4% of that pot because that was usually their accrual rate. So maybe the trustees could help us better understand what the accrual rate is to give you some sense of it disappearing. I'm hearing this argument of scarcity, which I don't believe to be true. The money may never run out if you manage it well.
Well, we're talking about land, using it for big land purchases.
Yeah, you could spend
And that could go
you could spend
quick.
$500,000,
Yeah.
but you'd still have a good pot of money
Mhm.
that will continually build itself.
It's not like it's sitting in cash. It's being invested at some
Mm-hmm.
ability, at some level.
You'd be surprised how quickly it grows if you just don't do anything with that.
That's-
So it would
that's
be
part of the reason-
educational.
Yeah, it's part of the
Oh,
reason
yeah.
it's up over its limit.
Mhm.
So.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't advocate
There's two-
spending it down to
That
zero,
was my only
but I'm
comment.
saying,
No,
if
there's-
some of these properties come up that
Yeah,
we
there was-
want.
There was two parcels
or-
that we were expecting to purchase that fell through
Mhm.
and we didn't purchase. And
Right.
it therefore didn't bring it down and
Mhm.
it accrued and now it's up over its value. So,
Okay, well, we can always put on the agenda what we want to spend money on, but I am with Andy. I think
Well-
that the money is going where it needs to go, and I don't see any need for a warrant article.
And it'd be interesting to get an updated list.
Yeah, we can get
I'd
an-
like
we
to
can-
see an
we can
updated
get an
list
updated
of
list
what's
and-
even out there.
Yeah.
It's not much.
And I think we've kicked the tires on doing a non-public at some point. It's not something we do a lot of because it's
Mhm.
dead time. Well, we just haven't had, I guess when we did one about a year ago.
Yeah.
It was,
I don't remember.
it's been
we
a bit.
did one over here. I mean,
It's been a bit.
Probably.
there is, without naming them, there are a punch list, or there is a punch list of properties that, we use the GSA data. I mean,
Yep.
they helped us prioritize. These are the properties
Yep.
that really could be meaningful. And so we do have a list. What's that?
You should wait till July to have a non-public.
Till July? Oh. Yeah.
So,
Oh.
No, you'll be.
All right.
I
all right.
understand.
Moving on. Let's see, where's the agenda? I've lost. Other business, subcommittee updates. Who would like to go first?
Nobody meets with their subcommittees?
Gina?
Wildcat Falls has a subcommittee meeting right here on Tuesday, January 11th at 6:30, open to the public. And we will be discussing the bridge that needs to be repaired. There are trees down on North Loop that we will be calling DPW for. Thank you very much about that, because I had no idea who was going to take those away for us.
I'll send, when I find out an answer to that, I'll send it
Excellent.
out to the group.
Thank you. Yeah, if you could let us know, then I can let them know at January 11th. And that's it for Wildcat Falls.
All right. Scalar, you guys met? Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying Horse Hill, Mark Gagnon just sent out an email to the subcommittee members. We're gonna be meeting in February. He says, he and another member of the subcommittee are gonna be meeting next week with, UNH Extension regarding the invasive species cutting, and he'll report back to us
Wow.
on what they learn.
Oh, nice.
That's great. All right. You guys want to go?
All right. So Sklar will be meeting this month, depending on if I get surgery next week. Basically, we'll be focusing on that plan. We'll use a copy of what Gage sends as the what's the example?
Greater Woods.
What's the word for that? Template. Template. So we'll be doing that. We'll meet several times before the March meeting. We also have a scheduled meeting, I think it's Sunday, March 13th. So, if anyone wants to show up to that. What else? Yeah, we talked a lot at our last meeting about the parking areas and a big tree that's gonna eventually fall on someone. So I guess I'll tell DPW about it. You know, someone slid down the boat ramp into the river, tried to drive out, ended up getting stuck on our property. So, you know, I think the ramp should be taken care of during the winter, you know, a gate or something, but that's up to the town, because it's on their land. We have a lot of, I don't know what it's called, sand, salt on our property, because they had to put it down to pull the guy out.
Who put it down?
I don't know.
In time to give it down with a backhoe, spread it out so the record could get back in there.
Yeah, and there's nice ruts where the car was pulled out.
Has there been any talk about closing that temporarily? If people are getting stuck and they're
I
having to
think that's
put
what he
things-
mentioned a gate. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent long-term plan thing, would be for the town to put it, close the gate in the winter.
Yeah, that make perfect sense because, you know,
We would be up at the main road, or?
no,
I think
there's that,
You turn
Yeah,
around.
there's
that
a-
point.
Yeah, it's a neck, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the road before you turn right. Yeah.
Oh, way down, that far down?
Down at the turnaround, all the way down at the turnaround?
Yeah, right? Kind of when you turn right, there's that what you're thinking
It's
of?
like you're going down, here's the parking area, and then you have where that tree
There's
fell.
a narrow point
Right
there.
there, it's
Yeah.
perfect spot for it.
That's town property.
Unless the town wants to transfer the property to us. But, yeah, that's the problems down there. For the snow, the road is a bit muddy. At the turn, the rest of it's pretty good since the DPW spent a considerable amount of time down there fixing it. But yeah, we have an off-roader problem, again, because now they're driving over the rocks. Because they're positioned, the way they're positioned, it's the perfect, you can get over it without bottoming out.
Wow.
I only noticed because of the track and the snow.
So we need more rocks.
Cameras, there's cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have them.
Now, if we get police somehow involved, it'd be
Doesn't the
great.
police have cameras?
They have one. They did put one once.
Yeah.
We've given them plenty of
Yeah,
of vehicle tag IDs and pictures and haven't gone anywhere with it.
right.
So we can try again.
But, yeah, it'll be in the plan. We want to put some sort of rock wall there as a more permanent solution to block the off-roaders, which are destroying the property more.
We've been told before that the DPW will pick up rocks for us as long as they're in one location, so, every once in a while, we've been able to, you know, you see construction going around here, if they start pulling up rocks, ask them, you know, are those destined for anything, or can we take them? And just tell them you're part of the town. As long as the town's been able to go to one location, pick them up, and drop them off at one location, they've been amenable to that in the past, so that's where a lot of those rocks came from now,
Yes.
that are down there.
Yes.
So if anyone sees construction around town, just go up and say hi. Or tell me where it is, and I'll go say hi. See if we can get them.
But yeah, also, it didn't exactly get on the agenda, but I think we should have a tour of each subcommittee with the subcommittee and have them explain what's going on their properties. We don't really get a lot of updates here, you know. Maybe one of us will see something that is not being seen, a problem, something that they're used to, but it's not normal. You know what I mean? So I think we should have a tour, once the snow is gone, of each subcommittee.
You mean a property walk?
Yeah, property walk. Have them give us a tour of the property.
Big properties.
That's to say it's only 600 acres, sure, I'll take you for a walk.
So we can go
Like, you
throughout
know-
the year.
You can go 7 miles in Greater Woods.
I'm not talking of just walking through the
I
woods,
know,
I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
show the
You're-
best
it's a good
parts.
It's a good idea. It's a good
Mhm.
idea. It's a good idea. Do one a season or something.
Yeah, we always enjoy the Wasserman Walk.
Yeah, it's good to see their properties.
Also, someone commented on Facebook that there's a lot of erosion at Wildcat, so.
We are aware of that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Anything else?
Yep.
Dave, Mike?
Right, so Greater Woods, so we've met, we finally had a face-to-face, which is good, finally. We've got a couple people still hanging on. It's been a while. But the plan, well, obviously, we're going forward with the plan. We're gonna make some changes because we have a couple new parcels. And our next meeting is on the February 9th. Thank you for getting that in the calendar. Appreciate it. And we do have a couple trails that we do need to address. One is obviously the new road by the middle school has taken out part of the ridge trail. So if you walk over there now, there's no way, once you go from the school, you go over that small bridge and you start up the hill. Well, there's no way to go from the bridge to the hill. There's no trail there. There's now a detention pond. So in the stream that feeds it, that whole structure over there has become quite, it's no longer a stream. There's so much downfall and so much blow in it that it's just all over the place. So we've started to go through and remove structure from the stream bed and allow it to go back to its stream to see what, how minimal we can let the stream get back to its normal course and hopefully dry that property up. We'll see if we can rebuild the trail in the spring, but we're gonna have to wait for the water to abate a little bit so we can know, but it's going. We're back in business.
What about that, I always forget the name of the trail, that's half on the private property that by
Skyline?
Conservation Drive. It goes from Conservation Drive to the school,
Castor.
Castor.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's
Yeah, so we've got we started going after, and that's right when the town manager left and we had a little bit of upheaval there, so we didn't really finish that, but, we were working on just a single document that said, for the homeowners concerned, says, yeah, I'm aware that there's a trail on my property. I'm not gonna interfere with it. I'm not gonna mark it off. I'm not gonna go try to block it, because that allows them some protection from the open space, New Hampshire open space rules. So as long as they leave it alone, that it'll be fine. But we still didn't want to put it on a map until that was signed. So we just have to kind of follow that back up now and get those documents signed, get them with the homeowners. So far, the two homeowners I spoke to, they were like fine with it. They're like, they could care less.
So I
There was yeah.
I had no trail signs made for those trailheads because,
Right,
yeah.
right, yeah. So we just gotta finish, we just gotta follow through on that.
Anything else? Subcommittee updates? The only other item I had under other business, just if someone knows something now that I'm missing for the January 24th meeting, I've got, obviously we'll have any statutory advisory items that come up between now and then. There's a subcommittee nominee, right?
Yeah.
We don't really need her, right? For the Scholar subcommittee. We should just vote on her next meeting, put her on the agenda, and, I mean, you folks, the three of you can speak about her. Some of you must know her, right?
You haven't met her yet. I met her, so.
You know her.
We did that so we could meet people and, get familiar with
Mhm.
the face, but, obviously we're still trying not to have, too much interaction with folks, so.
Yeah.
It might be worthwhile for a while until we can get back in the outdoors to
Just,
keep those as remote meetings maybe.
Could we have a remote meeting here? No, not remote, like all of us, but have her on a camera or something?
she's welcome to come, too. if
She's
she really wants
certainly welcome to come.
meet
We're just
us.
trying not
Yeah.
to force people to come in if they're uncomfortable with it, so.
Mhm.
All right.
We have her on, we have a resident member of the public that wants to speak at the next meeting. You still want it, we'll get you on the agenda. I'm sorry we couldn't do it for this one. There is we published the agenda items have to go on a certain number, what is it, 8 business days? And this was a shortened period because the holidays aren't town hall business days. So we'll have that. Mike, do you want to present about bees? Do we have enough
Yeah.
material to,
Yeah.
you had asked about that?
Yeah. What's the topic of his agenda item?
A motion we made in December.
Oh, okay.
So we'll put that on. The bees, what is this? What should I call this on the agenda? What does a beekeeper have they have a certain spot in town, one of our parcels they're interested in? Or?
It's something that a beekeeper was interested in, and we did do some stuff in Hudson, so it'd be good to talk about, especially, what's the liability of putting a hive and on a conservation thing, and, just, getting the details out there.
Okay.
Maybe
I'll
we
put
could
that
set
on
up
the agenda.
a fenced area to put a hive.
Anyone
I think-
else have anything? If there's a Chapter 111 update, I'll see if they can get something between now and then. We're just waiting for a legal review on that proposed language. Any other agenda items people know that they need to have on? I just feel bad when I get, when someone submits something to me and the deadline's already passed. That's why I was just
Well, I
trying.
know I did that once and I had not paid attention to the
Yes.
deadline, so.
So I guess brings us to presentation of the minutes.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting minutes dated December 6, 2021.
I second.
So this was Stephanie's first time transcribing the minutes, and she did an absolutely excellent job doing these. I am so impressed, and I have no corrections.
Wow.
Outstanding.
Wow.
I have one question. On page 3, line 119. This is when we were talking about KTK, down the end of Star Drive, that building that doesn't meet any local codes now. They were gonna put a gutter on the building. And this, did they say they're gonna put a gutter along the parking lot, or are they gonna put a gutter on the building?
I can go back and look on the,
Because, well, okay, because even that reference to it there, if you go to the next page, page 4, and you look at line 142, 143, we talk about a gutter system along the west side of the structure.
okay.
So
Let
I'm
me go back and
I'm
look.
assuming they're talking about the
Yeah.
building, not the parking
I
lot.
think it was the building.
That's a
I just
good
don't
catch.
want them to get in trouble with something on their plan, because that plan was already so far out of spec,
Right.
that if, I want them to, if it's gonna be on the building, they're not doing land improvements.
I'll go back and I'll look at the
Okay.
actual, video.
That was my only question.
Anybody else?
I have a question on page 6, row 267. I just had, for the last one, any official statement instating a warrant article?
Is that a real term? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
That's
Or
interesting.
is that what was said? I don't know.
Did the town council instate a warrant article?
I think what it's trying to say is in starting, so two words, in starting a warrant article.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
Or it could be in stating as in E.
Instigated?
Gage, you were the one that said it, so again, I can go back and I can look and see what you actually said.
At least one dictionary has it as a
Gage was the
word.
one that made up
Oh, okay.
words.
Is it a real word?
It's on
Oh.
the internet, so it must be
Oh.
true.
I went Scrabble.
But no, it's,
I'll go back and look.
that's a new one on me.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
That it? Anyone else? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Motion carries 6-0
Just-
and
should be 7.
abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay. All right, brings us to number 10, public comment. There are no new members of the public here for public comment. Commissioner comments. Gage, I think we're starting on this side this time.
Nothing, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Ellen?
The only thing, and it's just because I'm on Facebook, is are you still planning a moonlight walk?
Well, my back finally gave out, so probably not.
Okay, because if you are gonna plan something that it is at night, you wanna make sure you have another commissioner with you. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I've got nothing. Our next meeting is January 24th.
Just a comment about activity at Fields Farm property by Tomasian. I saw some other, I don't know, it's social media or something too, about great bike trails there. And,
Really?
yeah, so, we don't know anything about this. Or, what's going on over there, I don't know, but word is getting out that there's bike trails. People are riding.
We held off starting a subcommittee over there until that last parcel was given to us as part of the deed. I'm not really sure I remember where that ended up. I mean, are they to the point where that's been handed over?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know
I-
if we got that land yet or not.
I specifically remember Tim saying he would be involved in the subcommittee when that starts, so,
I think there was a wrinkle we were working through.
yeah.
right?
So who's working on that?
The lawyers.
Can someone,
Well, there's
Push 'em?
the holdup for us of not starting the subcommittee is our own. We can start a subcommittee whenever. So if we're starting to have problems over there, then,
I mean, they're making trails and that
Yeah.
we don't, I mean, we did talk about markers and everything, and
yeah.
laying out trails and on our property, and we don't even know what's going on.
No, maybe we need to do a walk there.
Yeah. It sounds like.
So, do we need to put on the agenda to start it, or can we just start it?
We talking about the subcommittee?
Well,
You know.
we can do a walk and we don't all have to walk at once.
No, we can all walk at once. It can be, don't, you know,
We can all go over, or some of us can go over, check it out, and report back.
Well, if we go 3 at a time, then we don't need to
Mhm.
do a whole public thing, so we just can't have a quorum.
I'm gonna meet somebody in the next few days. I think that's gonna know something about that. I'm gonna ask some questions. I'll leave it at that.
Is that a January topic?
Yeah, that's a great point. I just added it to the list. Amazed me. Mike, anything?
Oh, it's my turn. Yeah, so my back finally gave out. I can hardly stand. I can't stand straight. So I'll be going to the VA tomorrow, probably for a few days. Hopefully they fix it. They'll probably do a surgery sometime.
Goodness,
Is
well,
it a
good
disc?
luck.
Well, I have 3 discs that got destroyed, so it probably went up the ladder and took out another, so hopefully it's not much, and I'm back causing trouble. Second, I'm kind of looking at those islands now that we own. I think we should have I'd say a walk there, but you know, we'd need a boat to do that. We have property on the shore as well. So I think we should, you know, examine that area. It'd be kind of neat to see what's going on there, if people are camping on the island, living there. Maybe it's a good place for birds, you know.
Is
It's
it-
something that we could do.
Is that town or conservation commission? The
Well, it
islands
says
are
town,
Town.
and one of them's in Litchfield that this town owns. So, it's pretty interesting. The Litchfield
I've never been there.
Conservation
Mm.
Commission wants their island back, they said, so. Maybe the town would be interested in selling it to them.
Excellent. Anything else?
Well, that's it.
Dave?
No, all set, thank you.
Eric?
Just that, since the last meeting, I have, turned in the, LSIP, Wasserman Park report, so that's only update I have.
All right. Excellent. Ian?
Nothing further, thanks.
Nothing?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Gina, second by Gage, all in favor?
Oh,
All right.
That's it.
Well, have a good night.
New Year.